And we're back.
We're back. How's it going, Jared?
Just another exciting day in New England. Our first snowfall of the year, and it's almost March. It's like crazy.
We almost made it.
We almost made it.
And all of our friends and compatriots are currently at the IFA convention in sunny Las Vegas,
Yeah.
Nevada.
Yeah.
I think we missed an opportunity there.
We certainly did, although we'd never hear the end of it. So, what are we talking about today, Chris?
Well, we've kind of been floating around, the 30,000-foot view of the thought process, the mindset that you need to have, in considering getting into a business for yourself, the different opportunities that are out there for businesses, very high level. And we're talking about buying a business, starting a business from scratch, and of course, franchising a business, which is kind of a hybrid of those two.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense to start, dialing in here to some more granular elements in that process. So if we come down to 25,000 feet and we say you have decided on your business approach, or your approach to getting into a business, your business gateway, and you've decided franchising, and we can talk about that for a hot minute. What would be the next steps? And so if you've decided on franchising, I'm going to assume that you took a look, you're at a place in your life, and this is based on statistics, and this is based on, the people that we talk to on a daily basis, the feedback that we get for why they have considered a franchise. And typically they're in a place in their life where, they feel that they don't have the energy to start something from scratch. And it's all self-perception, but their age, their place in life, they've been cranking away at corporate for 20 years. They've got kids now, too much risk to go try to start something from scratch. Whatever components, starting from scratch is just too daunting.
Yes.
The other being, buying a business. Maybe it's a capital issue. Maybe that, you go in and you buy an established business, you could be talking about hundreds of thousands, you could be talking about millions. Obviously what type of business you're looking to buy makes a big difference. And that can be a whole other thing as well. And so if we're to presume that you have landed on franchising, we mentioned it being a hybrid of both of those. Franchising is investing a part of yourself and your your capital into essentially a licensing agreement with a franchisor, someone who has built an established brand, has operations in place, but is not selling you the entire business at a business valuation of hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars or anything like that. You're just buying your way into the system, and you're going to work with that franchisor to build that business, that local business for yourself in your market from scratch. But it's not from scratch because they've already done it 5, 10, 100, 1,000 times over. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds is what we hear from people who we talk to, and who have looked to franchising. So that's the premise. Let's start there.
So if I may, I want to Jerry eyes that. And you've got 3 opportunities. Create your own business from scratch, from true nothing there, or buy someone else's business, or buy into a franchise. And here's my take on those. The first one is tough if you're going to start a business from the ground floor, there's just a ton of work. There are things that you'd have to know that you couldn't possibly know that are going to jump up and bite you. If you buy an existing business, my recommendation would be you better be somebody who knows that business fairly well, like an existing employee. It makes sense to buy the business because then you know a lot of the business pieces. There isn't all that much more to learn.
That's a great point. I'm sorry, Jerry. That's a great point, because when you buy that business, that owner is walking away and you're on your own.
Even if they're promising to be there for 6 months or a year, whatever else, they're walking away.
Yes.
You're laughing at that. Right?
Yeah.
So then you got to look at, okay, if I haven't worked in that business, I really don't know a darn thing about it. And who's really going to teach me? What is their vested interest in my success? Their vested interest is in getting paid for what they created and leaving. Now, if we flip over to franchising, it's all about mutual success. I mean, you are in with a company that's already figured out all the pieces, parts of what it takes to be successful. They've got their systems in place. They know what works. They know what doesn't work, which, is a whole other discussion we could have. And you're buying a known quantity that someone's going to help you be creative or help you be successful at. Like, it's a great way to step into business ownership.
Yeah.
It really is.
You kind of get a mix of all of the things. And I think it's worth putting out the disclaimer that, a franchisor is not a guarantee of success. And if they're guaranteeing it, I don't know, but I think you should think long and hard about that. If they're guaranteeing your success, they should not be doing that. But mitigating risk, mitigating folly, and maximizing the opportunity with which you have to be successful. Yes, I think all of those things are for darn sure. And I think that's what we want to talk about today is sort of that process that you need to go through for yourself to determine, is this the right franchisor for me? What is it that I'm really looking for?
Yeah. How to evaluate.
Yeah.
Because how many franchises are there that are offering franchise opportunities to the world?
I believe in North America, and we'll check this and edit it if I'm wrong, but it's over 4,000. There's over 4,000 franchise brands, to my recollection, in the U.S. So you've got a lot
of businesses. Yeah.
A lot of categories, a lot of different stages of existence. Obviously, you've got your your Dunkin', your McDonald's, your Chick-fil-A's, your Subways, your all of those things.
Yep.
And you've got your startups and your micro emergings and your emergings and so on. You've got your brick and mortars, you've got your remote, you've got your mobile. If there's a business out there, a concept, you can find it. You've got auto, you've got education, you've got entertainment, you've got pets, you've got restaurants.
Kids. Yeah.
Kids. Yeah. And finding that franchisor, while I can't speak to every individual's value, you have to evaluate that for yourself. The process that you go through to determine is going to be multifaceted, right? Obviously, you want to make money. but you probably want some training too. Do you want to step into something that's 1,000 units down the road? And what does that mean? Well, number one, it means it's going to cost you a whole heck of a lot of money because it's a very well-known established brand that's virtually automatic. Again, won't guarantee it, but if you're stepping into a Chick-fil-A,
You're going to be successful.
You're probably going to be successful. Well, you got to work it though, too. That's the thing. I mean, even a Chick-fil-A, if you don't do it right, they're going to boot you out. I don't think a company like Chick-fil-A is going to allow a Chick-fil-A location to fail. If you're a poor operator and you're not showing up to your business, they're going to exit you out and they're going to get somebody else in there. And you're going to have a whole lot of, debt that you're probably, going to struggle to recover from. But that's big time. They're super selective. I don't even know what the criteria is, from net worth to, skill sets, previous business experience. You might even have to have previous franchising experience to get a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I know McDonald's they're not even awarding franchises. Dunkin's not even awarding franchises unless it's like master development deals. If they even
What does that mean?
So master development deal is like huge regions. Like you could do a master development deal in Canada and have the rights to, 100 units in Canada. Like they're not selling to individuals,
Gotcha.
they're not awarding units on a 1-by-1 basis. So, some of that stuff is big time, but there's still plenty of big brands that, they're doing 2-packs, 3-packs, 4, 5, whatever. And if you make the grade, like, again, you still have to work it. You still have to work it.
Sure. There's always going to be work is the point. It was interesting because one of the things that you sent along to me this week was an article about what are the characteristics of franchises that franchisees are looking for. And I'm just going to name them from the top, supposedly in order of importance.
Can you have it on the screen? Can you pop it up if for the watchers?
Yeah, I think so. Give me a second to handle my technology.
For the watchers, for the viewers.
The watchers. That sounded very sci-fi and scary. So here's from Franchise Insights, prospects rank their desirable characteristics of franchises with surprising results. The number one was low cost of entry. The second was high earnings. The third, extensive training, followed by flexibility of work, being a well-known brand. This is being pandemic proof, whether they have systems and platforms in place and how good those systems and platforms are. And finally, the ability to work from home. And so I thought it was really interesting that that this is how franchises are considered by so many franchisees. Can I get in there cheap? Seems to be number one. And I don't know, we can have a whole conversation about this and how it applies to Happy Cat. But I'm wondering how do you see these characteristics as applying to the average person looking for a business?
Well, my first thought is when we look at flexibility of work and ability to work from home.
Yep.
If I was a betting man and I did just go to the casino last weekend,
Okay.
I would say that those two probably grew in prominence there over the last couple of years.
Oh,
right?
That's a great point. Yeah. Yep.
Pre-pandemic, they might have been on there, but I don't know if you see them at those levels.
Probably ability to work from home wasn't even there.
Wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And then my other takeaway is, not surprised by low cost of entry. That's it's always going to be there, and I think you can get into a conversation about, what you kind of pay, what you get, you pay for what you get.
You get what you, but if you pay, then you get, no. You mean you get what you pay for?
You get what you pay for,
Oh yeah, that's the one.
and things don't work right inside my head, for all of you watchers.
But there was a get and a pay, and we knew there was a connection.
When it snows out, I think. So you're gonna. I guess that doesn't mean it's a like you can get into a franchise for a very low cost, because there's franchise opportunities that are not brick and mortar. They're like work from home opportunities,
Mobile.
mobile, remote office type setups. And you can make money at it. Is it a brand that interests you? Is it, excuse me, the type of thing that, that you're going to be motivated to get involved with?
I think too that the lower the cost of entry, the more people can purchase into that franchise, the more competition there's going to be. And if it's a low cost of entry, what's going to stop the next person from buying one and the next person from buying one? And then how do you distinguish yourself?
Yeah, it's great. That's a great point. Territories work very differently in those types of environments. And there's, yeah.
Right. So
flooded marketplace.
So low cost of entry, you got to be a little bit careful, because it's probably easily replicated. What does it really take? If there's a low cost, what does it take to recreate that, and somebody can essentially duplicate that concept, duplicate that process?
I have a friend who has a franchise concept called Moms on the Run, and I don't want to misquote her franchise fee. I'm almost certain it was less than 20,000. I hope I'm not misquoting that.
Yeah.
But we can look into it and change that if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But the concept is basically like jogging groups, right? Regional jogging groups for, designed for moms. And you, as the franchisee, get a certain territory, and your subscribers are, moms that are looking to stay in shape and run with their kids, run with their baby, with their, I don't know if it's all stroller running, or if there's times when it's, not stroller involved. My point is, it's intended to be a part-time franchise opportunity. It's not full-time. Like, that's not her market, right? She's just looking for franchisees who are moms, who, are raising their family. Maybe they have another gig elsewhere as well, but, want to do this, and they can devote 15, 20 hours a week to
Yep.
successful business. And so it's a low cost of entry, but it's more important that it's fitting what you're doing. Don't just go for a low cost of entry and then realize, man, I got to put 50, 60 hours into this business. Sure, I got in for $15,000, but now I'm working way more than I want to be. I'm not, around my kid, which is, the most important thing in the world. And now I'm not happy. So low cost of entry can mean a lot of different things, and you've still got to peel those layers and look at the brand and the concept and what you're getting out of it, other than just a low cost of entry.
And my guess would be, and I'm willing to be really wrong on this, but my guess would be that it would require a fair amount of marketing time, and it probably depends on a system that was developed for this. So you're very systems dependent. You're very much tied to how well can you market, I would think.
I would imagine too. I would imagine of the if it's designed for somewhere around a 20-hour work week, let's say, yeah, the majority of that 10, 12, 15 hours is probably dedicated to marketing.
Yep.
And then running the actual classes, which is or sessions, which is, you know, showing up. And I don't mean to minimize it or simplify it, but, you know, generally, you know, managing your subscribers, your members, and, you know, taking them on the runs and doing all the things that are involved with the actual, you know, delivery of service, I should say.
Yeah. So we've looked a lot at low cost of entry, and you know, there's just so many pluses and minuses that I think you have to work through, and you have to bring in a fair amount of evaluation of what is the business if it's low cost of entry. Because aren't there some franchises that there's a franchise fee of like just a couple of $1,000?
Yeah, I have another friend, I believe her franchise fee is 5,000. They actually do molds, like replicas of for they do lots of things now, but it started out as the hand press
Yep.
molds,
Yep.
and it's actually a franchise business. And so you can, again, things change every year. Franchise fees go up and down. But at one point, you know, it was like a $5,000 franchise fee, and it basically got you the rights to the technology, and, you know, you could set up your own territory, but it's all online. And so it was essentially, I don't know if they do it through zip codes or, you know, subscriber lists, membership lists, however they do it.
Yep.
But you could make these molds, and it's a really touching story and concept, how it all came about.
Yep.
A lot of the business that they do and where it originated was from, you know, parents who had lost young ones and wanted that you know, that memento, that memory, and they would do you know, the handprint or the footprint or whatever, and be able to hold that forever. And anytime anybody talks about it, I get choked up, myself included.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so very low cost of entry, but so valuable in so many other ways, and people are making money doing it with passion too. That's what's cool.
Yeah. That's pretty heart-centered business,
Yeah.
I would think. So where do we go with the rest of these characteristics? How do we talk about them today?
Well, the other one that jumps out, I mean, higher earnings, I think, is obvious. Who doesn't want that? Now, I think that there's a give and a take. If you could get 2 or 3 or 4 of these other things, if you knew you were going to get extensive training, if you could be flexible at work, if, you know, you could work from home, if it was maybe low cost of entry, like if you could get 2 or 3 of those others, you might not care as much about higher earnings. always
I know.
you're always going to want as high as you can get. Don't get me wrong, but hey, I don't need to make $1 million if my lifestyle in doing this
Yeah.
is where I want it to be.
Yep.
You know, I'm fine taking less. I can make my money. I can, you know, all that. So that's what I think about hiring. And the big one to me, the biggest one is that extensive training. That's interesting. That it's so high up and that it jumps. You know, it jumps a half a percentage point to
The
where,
others.
yeah.
It's kind of like those are the top three: cost of entry, higher earnings, and extensive training, and then the rest are kind of also rands.
Mhm.
You know, so let's talk about training.
Well, so that to me speaks volumes about why they're looking for a franchise, because you could find a business to buy that is a low cost of entry. I mean, it doesn't mean you're buying $1 million manufacturing company. You could, you know,
Right.
buy somebody's accounting business and you're essentially buying, you know, the client list. You know, you could buy a company with super high earnings, but in both of those situations, I don't know that you should expect to get or be guaranteed extensive training. Kind of to your point earlier, like that person's walking away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if the people who were surveyed here, if extends that, like it just, that's why they're looking at franchising, because they don't want to get into a situation where they don't know what they're doing with the business, whether they started it or bought it. I want the training, and you're only going to get that from the franchise model.
Yep.
You can get those other things from any of the models, but you can only get extensive training from the franchise model.
I'm going to stop the share because I think we're in something really meaty here. Me and all
Meaty
my
or
years,
meaty?
meaty,
With a
MEA,
T, meaty. So it's like steak as opposed to like beer.
as opposed to alcohol made out of honey.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Well, I know you went to the Renaissance fair last weekend, so I know you might have had.
yeah, I've still got my turkey leg in the fridge. Now you're going to take me completely off my thought, but I I think the idea of training and experience, um, when I was doing a lot of startup business owners, and when I say doing, I was a business coach for them. If I was working with someone who was a true startup, which just by the way, I don't do anymore, um, they would often be going to the small business administration's office and finding these manuals on how to run a fill in the blank, how to open and run a hair salon, how to open and run this, that, the other thing. And so what you had was the Small Business Administration having these procedures of how to do it. But could you really implement it? Like, did you know enough about what they were even talking about to effectively implement that? I don't think so. I think learning a business, running a business is extremely difficult work. And the support and training is an essential part of success, I think.
I think when we see that extensive training ranks as high as it does in that list of, preferences, um, it, it tells me that the people who are responding in that way are, again, looking at franchising for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to or willing to take a shot with starting up their own thing or taking it
Right.
over through a purchase, but are essentially saying, I can do this. Just give me the tools. They're doers, they're operators, they're technicians, they're like, there's a million words for this type of mind and
Yep.
set of skills in this world. And they know that about themselves.
I will make this
I
work.
will make this work. Just give me the playbook, give me the tools, give me the training, and I will kill this for myself. Right.
Yep.
But don't give me that. And I don't want anything to do with it. Anybody got time for learn how to do something from scratch?
When I became a coach, the very first thing I did was hire a mentor coach. Even though I had had, over 20 years of corporate experience. And all I can say is thank God I did, because there were so many places where I would have given up along the way if I didn't have someone to talk things through that would do a level set with me, that would bolster me up, that would tell me, well, this is just how it happens. Here's how you move through that. I mean, that was invaluable. I think I'm a fairly smart guy with a lot of that requirement of I'll get it done. But still, I mean, if you don't know how to handle situations, you're in a rough place.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's worth just hitting pause for a quick second to kind of go back to, like we were talking about, there's nothing guaranteed in this life.
Yep.
Even in franchising, but like those challenges that will come up in a franchised business
Yep.
that nobody could see coming. How many franchisees prior to the pandemic asked their franchisor the question, what's your protocol for a global pandemic? Right? Nobody, because nobody saw that coming and thought to ask. But when that thing happened, the franchise industry at large, there were losses. People lost their businesses. Even franchisees lost their business, walked away, couldn't do it, whatever. But by and large, the franchise industry made it through because of the support that the individual franchisees received from their franchisors. Okay. And so my point is, like, those challenges are still going to come up. We can't see everything. We don't have everything in the playbook.
Yep.
Even market to market challenges are different. The zoning in New York is different from the zoning in Nevada. And you can't know everything, but to have somebody to work through it with, to soundboard, to throw ideas, to dip into their resources. Let me ask a friend who does business there all the time. We have a contractor who may be able to get us the answer that we need. All of that is increasing your opportunity for success when you're working with a franchisor. Otherwise, you'd be on your own trying to figure those things out.
Yep.
And that's what's tough about entrepreneurship, no question.
And the franchisor has a stake in your success.
Excellent point. Yes.
And Apparently, this is a meat-oriented day today. Couldn't resist it.
We'll, we've got sound effects in post edit.
I like it. But the franchisor is going, okay, I will help you through this because future profitability is based on me helping you with your success today. Yeah.
And you get that. I mean, every franchise agreement is different. Most are 5 or 10 years. And, you know, I mean, just think if you're doing that for a 10-year agreement, you're with that franchisor, you're in that marriage together.
Yep.
And you have to make it work if you want a successful business, successful marriage. It's really pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, what do you think? Should we close up that topic for today?
Yeah, I think we dug into that list, and well, we're just beating a dead horse if we talk about it anymore. There you go, meat again.
I don't do horse, so thank you. That I know of. There's a lot of urban myths, I think, about that, but I'm going to leave that alone too.
Sure. I'm
not even going to mention it.
We can't get this thing canceled and we haven't even started.
All right. We'll be back with another episode soon, and we'll see what we talk about then.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jerry.
See you, Chris.